Hey guys, ECRG here, back with another episode. The title of today's episode is about meal delivery for a busy CRA. So, as I've mentioned before in previous topics that I've discussed on the channel, I have talked about wanting to do, or I will be bringing more content based on lifestyle, CRA lifestyle, while on the road to the channel. So one of the first things I thought about is great, and I will be doing more of in 2020, is going to be meal delivery while I am on the road. So using things like Postmates, Uber Eats, DoorDash, those type of meal delivery services while I'm on the road. And the reason why a CRA would want to do that in the first place is a couple of reasons. Um, you know, a lot of people have used them in the past, and not all the restaurants available in that particular city are going to be available on, let's say, DoorDash or Postmates on those individual apps. And a lot of times there's a lot of overlap in between those individual apps. So a CRA is usually very busy. Sometimes we have to stay in, and we know we're not able to go out and have a nice sit down meal. Sometimes we do have to stay in, work on those reports, on those deadlines, work on responding to emails and things of that nature. So, we stay in, and a great way to get some food that's not just hotel food is these apps, Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash. And I'm going to tell you guys in a little bit which one I actually use or will be using for a different reason, but we'll go into that in a little bit too. But a lot of it has to do with we're busy and we're wanting to work at night instead of go out and have fun or whatever. Another reason is, if we're on site, and a lot of times I don't eat while I'm on site typically, but on days where I'm traveling that day, based on, it could be different based on your organization, but my organization does not let us expense food when we get back home. So some organizations do, if you get home late at night, you're allowed to go get food at night. You're allowed a dinner or whatever. Some organizations are different. So on those days where I'm traveling back home, I make sure that I go eat a lunch at least. And then if I'm getting back late, I'll make sure I get a dinner in the airport or something, but before I leave. But in order to prevent yourself from being stuck in an airport with crappy food, but you also want to make sure you get the most out of your site visit and don't want to leave and go get lunch, one of the great things you can do is use one of these apps. And I've been picking up more on this just because it's a better use of time than going out and sitting down and eating when I'm used to not eating and spending all day on site. But because of the policy, I've had to adapt and go ahead and make sure that I'm eating while I'm on site on those travel days. So now we get to the fun part about the pros and cons of these different apps. So Postmates, Uber Eats, and DoorDash are the main ones. There's probably some other ones out there, but those are definitely the main ones. So I started out with Uber Eats just because I was a big Uber user, and I had a lot of my favorite restaurants. I had a couple Caribbean restaurants I liked, a lot of Japanese restaurants on there. Sushi's pretty easy to get on Uber Eats, and I was using Uber, so I was building up points on the Uber app, and at the time I was using Uber a lot, so I was like an Uber Platinum member, which gives you pretty good perks, especially, first dibs on Uber rides when you're leaving from the airport. That's one of the biggest perks. And, I was using Uber Eats, and what happened was Hilton and Delta, those are my two preferred places I stay and who I travel with. Hilton and Delta had a deal with Lyft, and it's still running now, that if you used Lyft, you would get Hilton and Delta points. So you get both. So that's way more valuable to me because I take a lot of ride shares, especially, traveling to the Northeast, New York City a lot. You don't want to rent a car there. So I use a ton of ride shares in New York City and basically everywhere I go. I don't really rent cars that much. But so yeah, I was doing this a lot. So it was more valuable to me than that little $5 Uber Eats credit because the food is going to be comped anyway. It was more valuable to me to get those Hilton and Delta points than it is just to get the little Uber credit. So that's why I switched over to Lyft. And in the process, I stopped using Uber Eats as much and kind of picked up Postmates I downloaded Postmates around the same time just to see what was offered on Postmates versus what was offered on Uber Eats. And it's more or less the same, but different cities have better meal delivery options, and they have different ones that they prefer. So I just kind of check between the two. But now, so this is a different reason. But now I've been using Chase Sapphire Reserve card this whole entire time booking travel. But now they just came out with some new regulations and perks. So they increased the annual fee to $550, which, I debated on canceling if it's still worth it, but I think it just edges out. But basically what they did was they have a partnership with DoorDash, which gives you some DoorDash pass. So basically I'm going to be using DoorDash for that reason. It gives you a discount and, some other perks with using DoorDash. So, and I've heard DoorDash was good. I've been meaning to check it out anyway. So this is just a good reason to check it out. And, not to mention, Lyft, they give you 10x points on Lyft rides. So I've already been using Lyft, so I'm going to stick with Lyft, and I won't be using Uber Eats or Uber in that regard. But I'm going to be starting to use DoorDash in 2020 because of that partnership they have with Chase, and then you get a bunch of extra points on DoorDash too. So basically, the punchline is basically the perks that are offered and the discounts and things of that nature are where I choose to use the delivery services, the meal delivery services. That's what dictates my decision making on that, is what perks. So I go where they tell me to go based on the incentives. So DoorDash, we're going to see how DoorDash is in 2020. I hope it's good. And I know it in probably New York City or, a lot of big cities, major cities, they're pretty much more of the same type of thing. They're not going to be that big differences between the two. But that's what I'm going to be going with in 2020 and 2021. I believe Chase Reserve still has that partnership with DoorDash. So this is completely important for CRAs. And if you're a CRA and you're not currently using these apps, I would definitely recommend it because it's certainly a lot better than ordering room service. A lot of times room service, they don't have healthy options. And, sometimes the hotel bar and the hotel food is not that great either. And there's nothing great around. So it's nice to be able to extend your distance, a few miles further out and get delivery from, something a little bit more healthier or just something a little bit more delicious. Now, the other side of this is when a CRA is at home. We're gone a lot, and sometimes we want a nice home cooked meal. We want to cook a nice meal for ourselves. Sometimes, we're on the road, you say like, a month and a half straight, and we're finally home for a week. We don't feel like going to the grocery store. So another great thing you could do is also, use these apps, DoorDash, Postmates, and Uber Eats to deliver food to your house. But another great one that you could use is Instacart. I've talked before on the channel about how having cleaners, come to my house about once a month has saved me time and is actually, it's nothing in comparison. I think I pay like maybe $65 a month just to have them clean my whole house. And that's the only clean that's pretty much done just because I'm not here that much. So just talking about how that, using Instacart and getting the groceries delivered has been a huge help for me in being able to concentrate on really what I really want to concentrate when I get back, making content for you guys, editing videos and things of that nature. So that's another big one. And that one can actually be used on the road too. Like, for example, if you're in a city for a week, you have a suite where you can cook up something, just get some of the groceries delivered. You don't have to think about, getting to the grocery store, expense and all that. Just one-stop shop in the app. So that's a big thing. I know a lot of CRAs like to cook for themselves if they're going to be gone for a while too. So I like those apps, but especially the meal delivery apps. Those are the ones I use the most. So I know a lot of people were curious about that. So here it is in the episode. So if you guys have any questions or want your resume reviewed or any kind of interview prep, email me, eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. Take care.